Let's discuss the borderline personality. Most clients try to manipulate their therapist during the course of therapy, for a variety of reasons. These reasons may range from avoiding engagement in new behaviors, to testing the therapist's credibility. Clients with personality disorders are the ultimate test of the therapist's ability to handle manipulative behavior, and can create severe crises for themselves and the therapist if not dealt with in very specific ways.
The borderline personality type in therapy is an open Pandora's box of crises, as graphically described by researchers, therapists, and family members.
Presenting problems. People with borderline personality disorder have problems like no other client has. They include the following: a wide variety of presenting problems that may shift from day to day and week to week. Unusual combinations of symptoms, ranging across a wide array of neurotic to subpsychotic behaviors.
There may be continuous self-destructive and self-punitive behavior, ranging from self-mutilation to suicide attempts. Impulsive and poorly planned behavior that shifts through infantile, narcissistic, or antisocial behavior. Intense emotional reactions out of proportion to the situation. Confusion regarding goals, priorities, feelings, sexual orientation, and so on.
A constant feeling of emptiness with chronic free-floating anxiety. Unstable low self-esteem and high and unstable negative affect. Poor academic work and social adjustment. Extreme approach and avoidance to social relationships.
In a therapeutic relationship, people with borderline personality disorder do everything in their power to turn the therapeutic relationship upside down. They have frequent crises such as suicide threats, abuse of drugs, sexual acting out, financial irresponsibility, and problems with the law. Extreme or frequent misinterpretations of therapist's statements, intentions, or feelings.
Unusually strong, negative, acting out reactions to changes in appointment time, room changes, vacations, fees, or termination in therapy. Low tolerance for direct eye contact, physical contact, or close proximity in therapy.
They have unusually strong ambivalence on issues, fear and resistance to change, frequent phone calls to, spying on, and demands for special attention and treatment from the therapist.
People with borderline personality disorder vacillate between autonomy and dependence, view the world in black and white terms, are ever vigilant for perceived danger, have chronic tension and anxiety, are guarded in their interpersonal relationships, and are uncomfortable with emotions.
Because of these personality traits, they are apt to continuously test the therapeutic relationship to affirm that the therapist, like everybody else, is untrustworthy and not capable of living up to their expectations, while at the same time they are desperately craving attention, love, and respect.
From that standpoint, when dealing with someone with borderline personality disorder, it is important to set clear limits, structure specific therapeutic goals, provide empathic support, caringly confront manipulative and maladaptive behavior, and rigorously stick with these guiding principles.
This is easier said than done, because of the dramatic kinds of problems and emotions that these people display. Setting limits and monitoring client safety is critical. By voicing legitimate concerns about the client's safety and setting a specific time limit on the conversation, the therapist reaffirms therapeutic control and does not become engaged in a rambling dialogue. The latter would serve nothing other than to reinforce maladaptive client behavior and cause a sleepless therapist to be angry and irritable the next day. No special considerations other than those normally given to any other clients should be given to those with borderline personality disorder.
The therapist owns both his positive and his negative feelings about the client, and directly interprets and confronts the client's underlying fear of rejection. Finally, by reminding the client of his regular appointment, The therapist targets behavior rather than affect. Focusing on behavior is far less problematic than dealing with relational issues, either inside or outside therapy, because of the client's slow tolerance for intimacy.
Treatment non-compliance is par for the course with clients with borderline personality disorder. Professional detachment and keeping one's cool is critical and difficult. The therapist's frustration may turn to anger if the therapist ascribes malicious intentions to the client's non-performance, particularly when trying to change the client's black and white thinking. Overt frustration often results in reciprocal acting out by the client. The client's passive non-compliance is a balancing act between fear of change and fear of offending the therapist through outright refusal to comply with therapeutic requests. When non-compliance is consistently the normative response, the therapist needs to step back from the situation, seek outside consultation, confront these issues openly, and acknowledge freely the client's right to refuse an assignment rather than doggedly proceeding.
A favorite ploy of people with borderline personality disorder and other dependent types of clients is to externalize and project their problems onto others. They then attempt to get the therapist to intercede for them by acting as an intermediary or otherwise fixing the problem.
In refusing to be used by the client, the therapist avoids a pitfall that would invariably lead to more dependent behavior and the continuation of cyclical, self-reinforcing, dependent, and manipulative behavior. Finally, the watchword with people with borderline personality disorders and other clients who consciously or unconsciously seek to manipulate the therapist is: remain calm throughout therapy, and do not respond to each new crisis as an emergency. The key question therapists must ask themselves is: who's doing the majority of work here? If the answer is not the client, then there is a good chance the therapist is getting manipulated.